Hi, and welcome back to the Eden Scott Candidate Series. Today we're talking about personal branding, and we're joined today by personal branding expert Hannah Power. Thanks for joining us, Hannah. Could you tell us a little bit about your background and what your company does?
Of course. So, such a big question. So, as a summary, I was very much born into the world of personal branding. Really, my parents launched the first online business network when I was 6, and I, grew up in this space of people moving online and networking, and building these sort of global businesses from their bedrooms and all of these kinds of things. And that was very much what I knew. I then decided, having it as my thing that I knew, and also the very entrepreneurial journey that's extremely up and down, especially if both your parents are entrepreneurs in the same business. I decided to go into a slightly more, traditional career, and I went and did a law degree, and then went and worked in consulting at Accenture. Went through some challenges personally, and just wasn't really like feeling the whole thing of the hour-long commute each way on the sweaty tube to the office, to spend my day there, to kind of do it all over again. A lot of the stuff that a lot of people kind of realized in sort of COVID times, but this was in 2017, and I saw all these people that were traveling and working on their laptops and having this kind of remote working life and investing in themselves, and seeing what they had in them. So I decided to quit my job and move over to Bali, where there's lots of people that do things like that. Huge digital nomad network over there, massive. Met loads of people. Everyone over there is doing something crazy, so it becomes it becomes a norm. And I started my first business over there. And then didn't do a very good job of it. Who does in their first business? I sort of, I was very broad, lots of, pulled together everything that I'd ever done and tried to package it into one thing, and then decided to really stop, research, learn, look at what I knew from personal branding, having done it, helping people with it, and looking at what people have succeeded and things like that, and looked at what could I do to best serve the world, and decided to focus in on the space of personal branding. I thought, I've got a personal brand. This is an area which is growing. And, I feel that it was something I could really stick my teeth into. And from that, then focused on delivering coaching and training services, and wrote a book and did all those things. I then spent 18 months building out a big personal, big for me, personal branding agency of there were 10 of us, our biggest, which I've just actually recently moved away from, and decided to return to doing coaching and training, and the courses and the content and things like that, and supporting people with where I sit is very much the beginning of the personal branding journey. So it's called personal branding, but it's a lot of self-discovery, self-reflection, a lot of looking at what it is that you really love, that you're really best at, and building a brand and a message around that, as opposed to looking at followers and all of those things that are slightly further down the line. And supporting people really to, I guess, to navigate this crazy world that we now live in. We all, I get everyone that I speak to says, I know I've got to do this and I want to do it, and I know that it works, and but where do I start? How do I do this? How do I do this in a way that feels right for me? I think we all see people on social media and stuff doing things that we may not want to do, but I really believe that everyone has their own formula when it comes to building a personal brand. And that might be having a blog, it might be doing a podcast, it might be recording videos, it might be whatever, but some way that they have that they want to share that thing that really lights them up. And once you've found that thing, and you kind of got the confidence to go out and share that, I think it's really powerful. So that's the side of things that I really work on, and the area that I really love.
Okay. So the concept of personal branding is really, it's developed over the last few years, with social media channels providing the platform for people to really build their profile. Where do you think, or what do you think was the tipping point of that explosion of that personal branding? Was there a certain channel, or was there something that just clicked and people started to really capitalize on that?
I think before you get into where it is now, I think it's really important to think about where, personal branding is not a new concept in terms of the term personal branding is. But if you look at Jesus, right? He's got a message. He gets some disciples to go and share that message with other people.
Yeah.
Good book gets written about him, tells good stories, does some good stuff. That's actually the same thing, right? He was a leader of people and he had something he wanted to say. And I know it's a bit silly to use as an example, but I think it's really important with all of this stuff to remember that these concepts aren't actually new. I think there's a lot of feeling that we get that panics us about the way the world is going. You know, marketing's changing and sales is changing and everything's changing. But actually, a lot of the concepts of what we have now are just updated versions of things that we've always had. And, you know, building a personal brand, if you do it right, is really just about being a leader in something. It's about having a message and sharing it. And I don't mean a leader to millions like Jesus, but a leader to a small group of people who are interested in what you have to say.
Yeah.
I think over the last few years, you know, we've obviously started to spend more time online. You know, that's it just happens, right? The phones have gotten better, the platforms have gotten better, the algorithms have got smarter to make us more addicted. Obviously, COVID has caused us to be really on our computers all the time. And, you know, there's negatives of these things, but I think there's also the positives. I think, you know, we've seen the fact that, you know, by having a personal brand and by having an online presence and by doing things online, you can have more flexibility, more opportunity. You can connect with more people. You can expand your business into other places. You can connect with people you may not have normally known. So I think the reason it's exploded is because we've seen the opportunity that doing it right has. And I think that then makes more people want to do it. And we've seen more normal people doing it. You know, it used to be the only people that were famous or were able, you know, the only people even that were able to have an impact or help people or run businesses, you know, and do these things were, you know, of a certain level of society or a certain level of fame. Whereas now, you know, anybody can do it. You know, people are, you know, building big businesses or big followings or getting incredible jobs just from their phones. And I think it's just that we're seeing what actually is possible. And that's why people are more interested in doing it. And I think I put people into two kind of camps. I think you've got the because I get tos and the ones that see it as an opportunity and see the growth in it and the fact that it could, if they invested in it, could give them a completely new, different life. And, you know, these are very much the growth mindset people. And then you've got because I have tos. And these are the people that go, oh, I wish it was how it was before. And I don't want to do it. And I hate it. And I hate this. And, you know, I'm never going to convince anybody of anything. You know, sometimes people will come on a sales call with me and say, go on, pitch me why I've got to do my personal brand. And I'll say, no need. I'll give you back this half an hour. I don't want to. And they'll go, oh, why? So I think it comes down to the fact that there's opportunity. It doesn't cost money. You know, it's one of those things that, you know, these platforms are free. The internet is free. You know, everybody's got a smartphone. I think there's more, isn't there more smartphones on the planet than people now?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I've got two. I've got a work one and a personal one. So, so I think that's why I think it's the opportunity and it's the potential. You know, I think we are seeing that you don't have to do what's always been done. You know, there's kids on YouTube buying their parents' houses. You know, it's mental stuff that's going on. And it is actually available to everyone. I don't mean in a cheesy way. No, it's not going to happen for everyone. No, most people aren't going to be successful, but it is actually something that is available to everyone if you want to put work in. You know, there's no leg up that someone else has over someone else. We all have the same access to the same stuff. Those of us that are lucky enough to have a smartphone and an internet connection.
Yeah. So you talked about a couple of channels there, actually. Do you need to be on every channel or is there value in selecting and being good at, say, one or two of these channels?
I am really a believer that the best way to start or really, unless you've got a big team of people, is to find one platform and focus in on it. And that platform being the one that, you know, is the one that you enjoy the most, is the one that the audience that you want to connect with are hanging out, that the content that goes on that platform is content that you enjoy, that the platform makes you feel good. You know, I always say to clients or people, I think make all your platforms look good so that if somebody finds you on Twitter, you know, your profile says the right stuff of what you do. And then you can just put a little thing that says I hang out on Instagram and then tell people to find you on there. But just make sure your profile looks good on all of the platforms and then send people to the one that you that you spend the most time on, that you enjoy, and then get really, really good at that platform. That's what I would recommend. And focus on your own path, and don't see what other, don't go, oh, they're on LinkedIn, so I've got to do that, or they're here, so I've got to do that. Because if you don't enjoy it, you won't stick to it. And that's kind of the main thing with this, unless you're going to outsource it or hire somebody or whatever, build a team around your brand, you're going to have to enjoy it to do well at it.
That's a fair point. So thinking about personal branding, how important do you think it is now? You mentioned it, actually, you kind of touched on it before, about finding a new job. If people are looking for a new job or even a new career, do you think personal branding can help with that?
I mean, absolutely 100%. And I know that it's the annoying thing, obviously, to say, because nobody wants another thing to do. And I think you mentioned a stat earlier when we were just chatting that 96% of recruiters or employers look at people on social media.
Yeah.
And we're moving into, and I don't mean this in a scary way, but the competition is big. There are a lot of people looking for jobs, for the good jobs. If you want to have a good job and you've got an ambition about you, there is competition there. And, it's about pulling on anything that you can do that will help you stand out, I think. But the difficulty is, and I have this conversation with people in jobs all the time, is you've got two types of personal branding. You've got active branding and you've got passive branding, personal branding. Passive is making sure that you look right. So if somebody comes on your profile, it looks right. Your bio looks nice. You've got a photo, it looks right, but you're not actively trying to grow your brand. And that's the absolute bare minimum that I think people need to do with their personal brand. They need to know, what they stand for, what they're trying to say, what makes them unique, what they're passionate about, really work out what their niche is that they really want to have out there in the world, and then just have it there so it looks right. Minimum. Obviously, active is then actively creating things and putting things on social media and creating content or speaking at events or writing book, whatever it is, right? That's the active stuff. Now, I'm never going to suggest that every single person in the world does active personal branding. I know I love creating content, but I know that it falls down the to-do list. I know that sometimes I can't be asked. So I do understand that it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But as a bare minimum for a job, you need to make sure that your profile looks good and would stand out if somebody searched you. If someone's going to search your name and they're going to come across a LinkedIn profile with the blue banner, with no photo, with, I don't know, Warwick uni graduate, because you've not updated your LinkedIn profile for 10 years, you're just missing out on showing that you actually are really, you've got something to say that's more than that. And that's where it comes down to working out what is the message that you want to say. You don't just have to say that you're a finance consultant or whatever. There will be something below that there is more that somebody has to say, more passion behind it. So try and share as much of that as you can.
Okay. So again, you touched on this before, but thinking about a personal brand, is it important to get the right niche? Get the right channels, the right content. You've kind of touched on this, but do you have any good examples of someone that's doing a good job of that?
Yeah, I have loads of examples. I think, I think a lot of people think personal branding is for, like entrepreneurs, like, people that run businesses. I think, classically it has been. In terms of examples of people that are doing it well, I want to give examples that are in the, employee space. I think is more relevant to this audience. But actually, there is someone who I think is really good. I can't remember his name, but I can quickly search for it while we're chatting. But there's a guy, have you heard of this dating app called Thursday?
Okay, yeah.
Have you heard of it?
I haven't used it, being a married guy, but I have heard of it, yes.
Concept of it. So these two guys that built it, they're doing a really good job of a personal brand that comes alongside it. And there's a CEO and he's really good, but there's also the COO. So he's not the entrepreneur founder person. He's he has a job doing it. And he's doing a really good job sharing, I can't remember his name, but sharing content. I think the people that do it well are the ones who share, who bring some personality to what they do. And, I'm not suggesting that everybody absolutely loves their job, although, if you don't love your job, then you should get another one, because that's a shame. Not if you have a bad week, but if you're having a bad life.
Yeah.
But it's about, putting a wrapper, whatever it is that makes you unique, that's, whether it's your story, your experience, your passions, your interests, the way that you do things,
Mhm.
the more that you can share that side of things, the better.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what people, if you're somebody who's looking for a job and you're looking to, you know, attract opportunities in terms of jobs, right? The more stuff
Sure.
you've got on your profile that's going to show you in that way, that shows who you are as a person, the better. I think we forget that behind all of these algorithms and strategies and systems and cameras is just actually like 7 billion people just trying to like work their lives out. And the more that you can be a real person and not just a robotic person who says, yes, I do this job and I graduated from here, or I do this and I do that, the more that you're going to have an opportunity to connect with someone, or they're going to go, oh, I'm interested in that, or that's cool that you said that, or, share the stuff that you really believe. I think that that's something that is so, missed with people that have jobs, is they, when it comes to the public sphere, you can still share the way that you see the world. You can still share the things that you're passionate about,
Sure.
even if it's not directly related to the work that you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, the internet is now awash with influencers. So, if someone's looking to start this up, even if they're not trying to become an influencer, is there any kit that they might need? And should they think about traditional methods, PR, public speaking, that sort of thing? Is that important still?
Yes. I mean, I think it's better not to worry too much about the influencer movement. I mean, personal branding isn't about becoming, you might become an influencer by building your personal brand, but your personal brand is just literally the practice of, showcasing your expertise and knowledge, with a goal of, connecting with a group of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is what
Yeah.
a brand does. It's not about followers. It's actually just about who you are and how you come across. So I think it's better to not worry about that side of things. In terms of kit, I mean, I look at it in 3 like levels. So if you think about create, amplify, and then promote. So create being the foundations of the brand. So what's the niche? Who's the audience that you want to kind of talk to? I, for example, worked with a girl who, she worked in finance. That was her job. She did finance and investing. Her passion was really around sustainable investing and educating younger people on how to manage their own personal finance in a way that's also sustainable. So that's her message, right? That's her job. That's her message. They obviously have overlap. So working out what that message is, that's create. Amplify is then what you're going to put on social media and content, all of those things. And then promote is where you look at things like PR and speaking and things like that. The reason I put it above amplify is because most people need to have some sort of presence now to be able to attract PR opportunities and speaking opportunities. It's quite hard to get them if you don't have anything at all, but absolutely they still have their place 100%. But it's, if you speak at an event, the event has been and gone. If you've got stuff on social media, it's there forever. I haven't created as many videos in the last year as I did the previous years, but I still have people contact me because they've watched my videos, even though they were, ages old. So it's creating that, what's called in the marketing world, you probably know this, that evergreen presence. There's always something there for people to have a look at. People say to me, do I need to create loads of content? And I'm like, you really don't. Like, unless you're trying to really actively generate leads or do loads of stuff, if you just put a few things out there, you often have enough that's there. I'll work with people on a program and we'll sort of do their brand, get their message up there, get it right, put some content out there. And I'll kind of say, look, you can tick it. It's done. You don't have to panic about it anymore. If you want to come back to it because you're so passionate about sharing that message, then do. But don't kind of overwhelm yourself. In terms of kit, do you mean like equipment?
Yeah, I guess, do people need to get the right lighting? Do they need to think about the right phone stands? Do they need to think about streaming it live, or should they do it just record it? How should they, editing software? Is that really, is it necessary, or do you just need to start basic?
To me, all of that stuff is a barrier of entry, which enables procrastination.
Yeah.
So, and again, I've been there, no judgment. I, for the first year, literally just recorded on my phone. I think, and to be honest, I still do. I have a fancy camera, but like, what an effort, and it always runs out of battery, and like, I don't know how to use it. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I bought it. It's right here. It's not, look, I'm not using it. I'm using my webcam. So yeah, I mean, I don't think any of those things. Yes, like, think about it like beginner, intermediate, advanced. You know, yes, when you go from beginner to intermediate, yeah, it's good to obviously upgrade your content, and you know, yes, you know, it's nice to have some fancy lighting and some higher res stuff and edit them and all of those things, but you know, do it when you get there. I think so many people don't start because they want everything to be perfect. You know, they want to have that and have that. And I will speak to people, and I'll then speak to them 2 years later, and they've still not done anything, but they've spent a hell of a lot of money on equipment.
Sometimes you just got to take that leap and get on with it and go for it, you know. And there's so much out there now, and obviously we were chatting before about the fact that a lot of people were engaging and doing things on TikTok, and they were starting to, they just went ahead and did it. They just tried it. They didn't wait, you know. And I think that's really important. And I think if you've got something you want to talk about, a niche, as you mentioned, it's really important, isn't it? You just get on with it and have a shot.
Yeah, and I think, you know, my ex-boyfriend worked in sales, and he always, obviously his like job was like business development. So he used to always say, like, you know, I need to do my personal brand. Like, what should I do? What should I do? And, you know, I helped him to do his profile and all of those things. And he was like, now what shall I share on it? And, you know, do I need to share content about, you know, how to do X and showcase my expertise in that way? And obviously, yes, to an extent, personal branding is about showcasing your expertise. However, a big part of personal branding is the person side. And I said to him, like, if you just recorded like a video a week and just told some of the funny stories of some of the conversations you've had generating leads this week, or some of the ridiculous responses that you've had, and you did that once a week, you put it on your LinkedIn profile, you put it in your featured content so that it's the first thing that people see. When you next reach out to someone and they search you on LinkedIn, which they do, right? If I get someone to contact me as a cold lead, whether it's email, Instagram, I will look them up. If I came across someone trying to sell me something and I went on his profile and he had some funny videos, I would be more likely to reply. And how much effort is it going to be to record a video on your phone? You know, look like crap, doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You know, no one cares about looking formal anymore. We all know that we're wearing trackies at our desks. Like, it's not like a magic secret. And put that on there, and don't overthink it. If you don't want to showcase your expertise, just share what's going on in your life in some way. And let that develop into whatever it does. I think I used to kind of put people off by saying it's about being an expert. It's about being an expert. And it is, to an extent. It's about showcasing your credibility, but it's also about being a human being and bringing that personal element to stuff. And, you know, a lot of my clients have come to me not because I have shown how good I am at social media, but because I've recorded a video when I'm in a bad mood at social media, and I've been like, you know what, I really hate this stuff sometimes. And then they've seen the real me, and that's why they've wanted to work with me, not because I've shown all my knowledge off. So, you know, it can be what works for you. And that's why I said, like, you know, once you find out what that message is, you can, that way you want to come across, and you can do whatever you want with it. There's no one size fits all solution.
Yeah. So you just last question. You touched on this before, and for some people it's a bit of procrastination. I think for some people they just don't know what success looks like, you know. And I know this will be different for everybody. But what would somebody who's just starting? What does that look like? Is it just a case of just getting started? Is even that could be success for some people?
Yeah, I mean, defining what your goals are before you start are important. You know, when I have a call with a potential client, I will always say, what do you want to achieve? What does good look like for you? And for somebody that might be just making sure that as I said before, that passive brand, just make sure that my brand online looks right. I always start with that with all of my clients. And there's loads of stuff. You can look at my content. There's loads of guides on how to do this stuff. Just put aside a morning, take your laptop, go to a coffee shop, get it done. You know, these jobs, we massively overcomplicate them. I do it as well. We massively overcomplicate them. Go online, open up all of your social media profiles, the ones that are public, make sure that they all say the right thing, the thing you want them to do. and then close your laptop down, and then that can be you for a month. Or someone might then go, actually, now I've done that, I might just record the video of what my experience was like updating my LinkedIn profile and put that on LinkedIn or put that on Instagram. And just doing those tiny little things. It doesn't have to be loads. I think we live in such a hectic content world where the volume of content is huge, and there are personal branding experts like Gary Vaynerchuk, who I really like, who says that if you're not putting out 30 pieces of content a day, don't bother. And you've got people on TikTok saying you've got to do 2 a day. And yes, if you want to go viral and build an influencer brand, absolutely, you put loads of content out there. If you just want to build your brand slowly in a way that just has something there, then you don't have to do loads. And in terms of what success looks like more generally, I mean, personal branding ROI is like, before COVID, that was like one of my biggest like bugbears, because every sort of third sales call, somebody would say to me, well, what's the ROI I can expect? And I'd say, I just can't answer that, because it's down to you. It's not really down to me. Because I wasn't doing like lead generation-y stuff. Then obviously I asked to build an agency, and we did stuff that was easier to prove ROI of. But if anything, I found that more stressful. It's very, very hard to track the ROI of your personal brand. It's very hard to know whether somebody did go on your profile when you were applying for a job or they didn't. But let's assume that if 96% are, apparently, then let's assume that they are, and let's just tick that box of things to get done and get it looking nice. And there's other programs you can join. You can do it with a group of people. I've gone into companies and helped them to do it. It's really not that hard. Procrastination tends to be a fear of failure. That's what sits under procrastination. And the quicker that we can accept that we're just scared of doing it wrong, we can get over that and just get on and do it.
Perfect. Well, listen, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. If somebody's looking to get in touch with you, what's the best approach? How can they get in touch with you and find out a bit more?
So the best way is to go to my website, which will soon, it's being redone. So it's hannahpower.com, or go to Instagram. Is actually I'm kind of dot around between LinkedIn and Instagram, but Hannah I Power on Instagram is where I'll be putting most of my stuff going forward. So that's where a lot of my content is. But if you Google me, there's lots of different things you can find. But I'd recommend starting with my website.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Hannah. I appreciate that. And hopefully catch up soon. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much.